favorite. I agree with you there. Something that's interesting is Pablo is running a 1-1 Jolteon, similar to what Rahul is running, I think. Do you think that factors into this matchup at all, or?
There's potentially like some awkward late game scenarios, or even in the mid game, if Pablo just catches, or if Dan just gets caught with like a dead hand, no Zoroarks in play, doesn't have as many options, the Jolteon could definitely have a big effect. A big effect, definitely just through the GX attack. I guess early game too, potentially with the first attack, the 30-30, could potentially clean up some early Zaruas or Rockruffs or something like that.
Sure. So we are jumping in now. Looks like Pablo starts. He started with one of his 2 Zapdos, Ultra Balls, a Lightning, and another Ultra Ball. I assume he's probably going for a Jirachi here.
Usually, generally, it really depends on the hand with Pikarom. The deck has a lot of options depending on the hand. Like the biggest deciding factor is if your Coco Prism is prized, and then what the rest of your hand looks like based around the Coco Prism. Like that's the most important card in the deck by far is the Coco Prism. So if it's in the deck, and depending on his hand, will factor into what he grabs, but it looks like he is going to go for the Jirachi, the most vanilla thing to grab. Gives you the most options past what your hand has.
I don't know if Jirachi's vanilla. It came from a comet, I think. Pretty extraordinary. They revived Groudon with it in that movie and stuff.
Vanilla Bean, then I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So looks like he does take it. I don't know. Obviously, these Lightning decks run ample switching effects, so he'll be able to switch it to the active. He attaches a Skateboard to that Jirachi, and then he attaches a Choice Band to the Zapdos, and then he'll Lily for 7.
He just chooses not to bench the Pikachu there. I'm not sure how I feel, but the Choice Band is best on the Pikachu Zekrom, for sure, by far. He definitely doesn't want to put it into play, but I don't think he can actually win the game without a Pikachu Zekrom in play. So, not a huge fan of that with the best target for the Choice Band being the Pikachu Zekrom. And if you can use it early on here aggressively and get it going fast and just try and overrun Dan with it, then it's possible that that's like a win condition there for Pablo.
Sure.
But without the Choice Band on it, it's going to be a little bit harder to KO stuff like the Lucario, the Zoroark, the Lycanroc. Because you only need 2 damage modifiers, and Choice Band is one of them potentially.
Sure. So it looks like he attaches the Lightning and passes over to Danny. Danny starts with his own Riolu and is playing a Pokemon Communication and searching the deck. Of course, Danny, like Jimmy we saw earlier, and a lot of these other Zoroark decks, they have eschewed the Professor Elms. They've gone back to the Lily Ball engine. We see him take Grimer with the Communication, then he Ultra Balls away the Acerola and Lily, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a Guzma, I'm not sure.
Looks like a Lily. I think he's got another Lily in hand. I'm actually a little curious about this play from Dan. So he has the Choice Band in hand, which is a 1-of in his deck, and is best on the Lycanroc. Allows the claw to KO a Pikarom.
Sure.
He's eyeing up putting the Choice Band down. Like I said, best on Lycanroc. Muck is not that big of a deal to get out in this matchup, in my opinion. It's not. It is. There's a lot of Jirachi focus, but it's not like the Zapdos Jirachi matchup where you have to keep KOing 1 prizers.
Sure.
There's going to be the GXs in there, the tag teams were 3 prizes, stuff like that.
Yep.
So the prize trade is pretty favorable as long as you just get out your fighting attackers. I definitely would have liked to have seen a Rockruff and then a Choice Band to the Rockruff. And then and if you find an energy, put that on the Rockruff as well, so that the Lycanroc can get attacking as soon as possible. I feel like this is a great opportunity for Pablo to kind of snowball this matchup in his favor right here. If he can KO this Riolu and then start setting up a Pikarom from there, because I don't think he's able to win it just off of Zapdos. But great opportunity for Pablo to run away with this one. Actually.
Sure. So we see Danny had done a full Lily for 8. No high five there again, unfortunately, but then he ends up dropping a couple more Zorua and passing. It's over to Pablo now, and like you said, Pablo has an opportunity to take advantage of the game here. He does Ultra Ball away that Absol and the Lightning Energy. There is the Tapu Koko Prism Star in his deck, so he definitely has the ability to accelerate. He has one of the Pikarom in his hand already. He can find a switching effect to go into the Jirachi, use Stellar Wish, and then still knock out the Riolu. There's the Volkners.
Should be seeing a switch plus energy grab here. I expect the Pikarom as well as the other Zapdos in hand to come to the bench. Charge him up with the Coco Prism, attach to Pikarom, get that guy ready to go. There's no fighting threat besides the Riolu in play here from Danny. So, yeah, this is perfect early game scenario from Pablo. Not too bad for Daniel's first turn, but I like I said, the Grimer, I'm not a huge fan of the Grimer pick there, and I think it's definitely going to punish him here. Like I said, there's a lot of Jirachis in Pablo's deck. Basic abilities are there's a lot of them, but there's a lot of GXs too, and as long as you can KO the GXs, that's all that really matters in this matchup for Dan. I don't think anything else really matters that much. You get the favorable prize trade through that. You don't have to actually shut down all of his basic abilities.
Sure. We see him put down that Coco Prism Star, and he plays a switch into the drop. He also bench Hikaram and attached to it. And he's using Stellar Wish now, of course. One of the most powerful abilities in the standard format, I think.
Probably the most, but it's the ability to
Over trade, you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like so much more consistent, can be used in more decks. So much more versatile. I feel like.
Sure.
You know, if you're playing Zorak, you have to be playing a Zorak deck. Jirachi, you can kind of throw it in anything.
Sure. I think he takes a Guzma with the Stellar Wish there, so just giving him the ability to set up for future turns. He puts down the Zapdos. I assume he's going to use the Coco Prism Star only because the Grimer's on the bench, and he knows he can get an advantage of it, take advantage of it this turn.
Yeah, for sure.
So he does activate that Dance of the Ancients, incredible ability as well. Put 2 energy on your bench Pokemon in any way you like. He'll retreat into the Zapdos without the Choice Band, and then use Thunderous Noise, I think is the attack
Thunderous
name?
Assault.
Thunderous Assault.
I know that attack name. I know that.
Okay. And he does take out the Riolu there. And now, like you said, Danny, he's playing a communication here to start his turn, but he has no fighting response immediately.
Yeah, so he'll probably get the knockout here on the Zapdos, but he has to look to set up something like another Riolu, get a Rockruff in play. He does play the counter game, so the Lightning Rock can kind of come in out of nowhere, so it doesn't need that extra energy attachment. But we saw Pablo take the Guzma off the Jirachi. He's like, I'm knocking out the Riolu, getting rid of the current fighting threat in play, set up to get rid of the next one, because you know that's what Danny's looking for, and if he doesn't bench it, you're going to win the game anyway. So
yeah.
Looking to KO that. And then, like I said, the Pikarom comes down anyways from Pablo, so like I said, I would have liked to see the Choice make its way to the Pikarom on the previous turn. You know the Pikarom just has to come down if you're going to win the game anyways. If it come down and you win, you're going to win even if it was on your bench. So,
Sure.
That might hinder Pablo from taking big knockouts here in the future, but we'll have to see. I think Danny's about to whiff this knockout here.
The fact that I think he double traded so far, and okay, so there's the second trade. I don't see. There's a communication
and a
nest ball. Okay, so
he has the stretcher in there as well.
Okay,
but the counter, I don't know about that counter getting rid of that counter. You're definitely gonna fall behind in the prize trade here as Danny, and you don't have time to set up the 2 energies for Lycanroc.
Yeah.
You attach this turn to the active Zorak. From here, you actually have time to set up the 2 energy for Lycanroc. He has no way to recover the counter gain. Besides a Rangaroop, I don't think you can really take a turn off to go find counter gain out of your discard pile with the resource manager.
Yeah, definitely. Counter gain, of course, very powerful. If you're behind on prizes, you can attach it to a Pokemon, and their attacks cost 1 colorless less. And specifically relevant because Dangerous Rogue will just cost 1 fighting. But he trades the other communication now. He did take a Zorak with that communication, so I assume he's going to use his Stretcher here.
Yeah, probably Stretcher for the second Riolu.
Unless, does he run? There are no, what's that stadium called? The Devoured Field.
Yeah, no Devoured Field
in this list. But he does drop double Riolu down, so he will have a fighting response, unless Pablo pulled off some insane...
Yeah, he would have to bench Roadblock Sudowoodo, and Danny would have to choose to get rid of a Riolu.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think if there's a way to put the energy on, but there's no way to even get, for a tag bolt.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
not quite.
Even so, he'll be able to attack with this Pikarom full blitz, and he can even use it to charge up a second one to then go for a tag bolt for a big 3 prize swing.
Yeah. On the following turn.
The following turn.
And I think Danny getting rid of that counter gain is going to be huge. It's about to be huge here, just literally in this next turn. The way the prize trade is potentially going to play out is Pablo is going to ideally Guzma knock out a Riolu with full blitz, setting up another Pikarom to then use the GX attack or full blitz with 2 damage modifiers to knock out the Lucario. And it's going to take an energy attachment every turn there from Dan. And then because he doesn't have counter gain, he can't set up Lycanroc out of nowhere, which means he just won't have a response for the second Pikarom.
Does this list run? There's no multi-switch in this list either. So yeah, definitely right. Interesting play discarding that counter gain.
I feel like there had to be a different option potentially to discard there from Dang. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, there's some sort of... Danny was tapping his prizes there or something it looked like, but he did take a knockout.
I think he maybe forgot to draw the prize, but I don't know how that would affect the board state at all. He definitely has to take a prize card. He did knock out Jirachi.
Are they going to penalize him for not... Are they going to give him a prize penalty for not taking his prizes?
He didn't take enough, Mom.
Yeah.
Pablo gets to take less.
Yeah, Pablo gets to take.
Pablo's taking.
There's a finite amount of prizes. They gotta split them up. So he uses Stellar Wish here, maybe looking for an energy switch so that he can push, or the Thunder Mountain so he could Tag Bolt for just 5 energy, you
Yeah.
know, in the next turn, or a damage modifier. I see a couple of Electropower in there.
Yeah, I think the Electropower is going to be the ideal grab here from Pablo. Setting up to he needs to prep to knock out a Lucario. He
Yep.
knows that's making its way. I definitely want to see him knock out a Riolu, prep to deal with the next Lucario. I think the Thunder Mound is actually in hand. We probably won't see it come down this turn.
Yeah.
I don't know if Pablo does he run the does not run the Wondrous Labyrinth. Okay, that is a potentially a big card in the matchup.
He does Guzma, one of the Riolu, like you said. So now he will be able to knock it out with that full blitz, an unbelievably powerful attack, 150 damage, and then search your deck for 3 energy cards, 3 lightning energy, and attach them to your Pokemon. Or is it just any energy? I think I think it's lightning. Yeah.
They can go anywhere.
I guess that would be too powerful. If
Yeah,
it was.
has to go to one Pokemon. So, be very surprised if we put on his active. Probably going to make its way to the bench. Pikachu, Zekrom here, and I mean, to be honest, I think Pablo might just have this one locked up on the prize charts. As long as he's able to knock out the Lucario, I think that's it. Like I said, Dan getting rid of that counter game means he's not going to have a response here to this this next Pikachu Zekrom. Him getting the Grimer early, like I also mentioned, over the Rockruff, meaning he wasn't able to like set up an energy on a Rockruff early on. That's just kind of how this matchup works. It's very, very snowbally, very quick, very fast.
Sure.
And we're seeing that take effect here. As Dan's looking to potentially just run out of wasted knock out Pikachu Zekroms here.
So he trades twice now, and he traded Viridian Force with the first one, so he must have the fighting in hand, or I think I do see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then double Nest Ball with his last 2 trades. There is a Lucario in his hand. I think he benches a Rockruff. There's Lucario, evolves. Of course, now he gains Aura Sphere's damage buff.
the
He
Judge.
evolves to Muck, shutting off abilities, and then he hits Pablo with a Judge.
Literally, for the situation that Dan is in, the perfect cards, the perfect sequencing of cards that you could draw.
Yeah.
The Judge and the. Maybe Pablo just can't actually knock out your Lucario, or if he does, he has to commit his GX attack without getting the full effect out of it.
Yep.
Meaning you still have time to knock it out as Dan.
Yeah. So we see here he draws. There's a Guzma in there. I didn't see what else. Let's take a quick 3 prize knockout on the tag team. We do see an Electropower,
It's a good top deck there from Pablo.
and there's a Lightning Energy in his hand as well.
It's like a
didn't see what
Jirachi,
else.
E-Power, Lightning, another GX Pokemon.
Is
Maybe
that-
2 E-Power? I think it
can't-
is.
Is that like a full art supporter or something?
2 E-Power, 2 E-Power.
There's 2 E-Power. Oh, it's a Jolteon.
Yeah.
That's the other. Okay, well, Jolteon's of course useless. But this, having the double Electropower is massive.
Yep.
He could take a knockout here with full blitz even, if he wanted, which he's going to do. Charge the remaining 2 energy onto this active, and that way he can snipe. You know, he could take out a Muck and the.
Oh
and the
wow! I think
Rockruff,
that was all his
or-
energy. 1, 2, 3. He's actually missing an energy here to be able to do the tag team to be able to snipe off the bench. So he'll probably pull one off the prizes here. I would imagine he'd probably prize one. It doesn't look like it.
He does have an energy switch as well.
Does he have one?
Well, maybe not in his hand, but he does
Well, he
have
does
energy
play him, yeah,
switch.
yeah.
Plus, of course, there is Thunder Mountain, which would drop the attack cost down to
Yeah.
5.
So he can still get there, but it would have been very nice to just have all 6 on the Pikarom
Agreed.
ready for the next turn.
Yep.
So he does also need a damage modifier. Any damage modifier, I think, just wins Pablo the game here. I think he does have a choice band in hand.
And Pablo, of course, cannot, you know, push up. If he pushes up something like the Muck, for example, to stall, then he needs to evolve the Rockruff. Otherwise, Pablo has a chance to take the 2 prizes there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. He trades once. He's putting down, or he trades twice. Pitches that Port Ditto,
Did not make it this time.
and
Has a nest ball. I don't know if he wants to. He's thinking about trading it or playing it. I'm sure. I don't know what would be left to grab. I'm trying to come up with a way for Dan to come back into this one, but I almost don't think it exists.
he nest balls a Zorua onto the bench now, his 4th one, but maybe Danny's secretly holding a black and white foul play, non-GX Zoric. He snuck that one in there, waiting to copy. Looks like Danny will Guzma up the Jirachi
The corner.
and he's going to corner, and so now Pablo has to find a
Huge play.
Guzma, and he has to do it under. He needs to do it this turn, otherwise Danny has the ability to now
And there's the
evolve.
pass.
Oh,
Wow.
He pulls up the Zekrom, and now he can attach and just use Dangerous Rogue for the knockout. Wow. I guess
Incredible.
Danny fooled us all.
Yeah.
With that one.
Yeah, the corner play there in the end. That was close. It was definitely slipping away from Danny for the last couple turns there. The matchup was slipping there for sure. But in the end, the corner Rockruff, Pablo did not have the Guzma. He had the choice band. All he needed to do was attack, be able to attack with the Pikachu Zekrom.
Wow, that's Danny took a little sigh of relief there at the end of that one. I don't think he. Yeah, he definitely won by using corner from, and I mean that's it seems like corner was obviously huge, and then we switched to the 70 HP Rockruff because of how big Buzzwole was with Jet Punch.
Yeah.
But corner still there are those games where sometimes corner just stopping retreating is enough. What a great play by Danny. That's a really cool way to win that game.
Yeah. The corner, the 70 HP Rockruff does have its merits as well. Get the fighting energy on there. Then Lele plus DC doesn't knock it out, which is huge in like Zoroark mirrors. Danny is playing the 1-1 split. So he has both options. So like early game, you want to get the 70 HP one. Late game, have the option of the corner depending on the situation. Sometimes early game corner if you're going for that early game corner. But having just the options of both is just the best way to go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little frustrating for Pablo there. It's probably he probably knows it's not a good matchup, and it seemed like he was really like, this is my chance to take this game one. I'll have the momentum, and then Danny just kind of really just stole that win from under him there.
Yeah.
But Pablo, of course, he's been playing for, I don't know, 1 billion years.
he's used to the
ups and downs.
The ups and downs, yeah, for sure.
He won't let that affect him. You can see he's, still regular old cheerful Pablo.
Yeah, definitely.
But, so if I'm Pablo, I feel like that game went pretty well for me. I feel like he played it pretty well, all things considered. Do you think he changes anything in this game, or?
No, I mean, I think he played it pretty much to a T. And that first game was kind of like the perfect storm, besides Dan just dead drawing completely. That first game was kind of like the perfect storm for Pablo to actually have a chance in this matchup, which is a very tough matchup. And it just kind of slipped away at the end there. I think Daniel gave him a little bit of opening with that early Grimer. I feel like he could have set up a little bit better. If you just set up to KO Pikarom, that's all you need to do. Pablo's deck doesn't work. Is not quite full Jirachi Zapdos.
Yeah.
You don't need to rush out the muck. So I feel like Dan gave him a little bit opening there. Pablo took full advantage of it. And it just kind of the corner plus the judge play into the corner play at the end there just gave Daniel just enough to bring it back and get back in his favor. But I think Pablo, he played it well. It's a tough matchup. Gonna have to hope for another start like that from Dan, where it's a little bit slow on the being aggressive with the fighting Pokemon. If the fighting Pokemon are not coming out to play, then Pablo needs to take advantage of that before they do get out there.
Yeah, of course this is the semifinals match here between two extremely high-level players. So we should see a great second game here. Pablo starts things off again. This time he starts with Eevee, and the attaches a lightning energy, uses Eevee's incredible energy evolution ability, can search his deck and evolve for an evolution of that same color, which is that one Jolteon. I did see it in the deck. One of the downsides to running like a 1/1 Eevee is if you prize the evolution. Eevee is a terrible Pokemon.
It's got what it's got a draw attack, a double draw or something.
No, I think it's just quick draw.
Is it quick draw? Yeah, like flip a coin to draw one.
And it has 2 retreat, so
he's
kind of a thick boy, yeah.
But
it looks like he doesn't take. I thought I saw it in there.
There was I saw the Zeraora. I don't know if the Jolteon was actually in there, actually.
Oh,
maybe it's in hand?
Nope,
it's not in hand.
That's terrible.
Oh, that is, and this is like the perfect time. If you're going to use Jolteon, turn 1, turn 2 as Pablo is the perfect time to use it. The later the game goes, the worse it gets. They can set up a play to get around your GX attack and vulnerability through Guzma plus Lycanroc.
Yep.
So early game Jolteon is when you want to use Jolteon. Oh my gosh, and then no Jirachi even to switch into here from Pablo. I'm sure he would have liked to see a couple extra cards off of Jirachi.
That sucked.
Yeah, that was not a great turn 1.
Yeah.
And on the other side from Danny,
Ultra Ball and double Nest Wall, dropping his balls on the table here with this turn. He probably has a probably grabbing a Ditto and maybe a Zorua with the double Nest Ball. Probably
Riolu, yeah.
Riolu here.
I think I maybe would have liked to have seen a Rockruff over the Zorua.
Does he has got a Lele for a Lily as well. So he is going to have a Lily for 7, I think, here, which is really good.
And ideally, Dan wants to find Rockruff plus energy. You don't want to put on the Ditto. You want the Ditto to constantly be a flex.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of would have liked to have seen the Zorua be a Rockruff for sure. How slow Pablo one was. I mean, your Zorua's going to get knocked out when they have the Ditto as a backup. But you have more Zoruas than Rockruffs in the deck, so it shouldn't hurt him too much. There's a Viridian Force and an Ultra and a Rockruff.
There's a Rockruff.
And it's not the corner one, so he's got the right Rockruff to get it
to attach energy to. Yep.
So he's got literally the perfect start here from Dan.
So now we see.
Okay, I don't want to see the choice band leave though. Okay.
Okay, well he's discarding that with the Viridian City. Discards the choice band, grabs the fighting energy, I imagine he's going to bench the Rockruff and attach to that.
Yeah, for sure. But I just like I had mentioned earlier, only plays one choice band, and it's very relevant for if Pablo keeps his bench low and attacks with Pikarom, you can't GX it sometimes with the Lycanroc because there's just too small of a bench there from Pablo, so you have to Claw Slotch it. But Danny only plays one choice band. So it's just in the situations where you're out of Lucario, you already used them, or he's chased your Riolus, like he's probably about to do here from Pablo. The choice band to actually knock out the rounds. So I would have liked to have seen him keep that and maybe get rid of the Field Blower, but I don't know if he knows if Pablo does or does not run the weakness policy, which I don't think he does.
He doesn't, no.
No weakness policy.
I think that was just Francis with the weakness policy.
Just Francis, okay.
We see Pablo start his turn off. He attaches to the Zapdos, and he's playing a Tapu Lele now for a... not sure what supporter he's taking. He's just counting his supporters here.
He's looking at his options.
Maybe a Volkner?
Yes, Guzma. So I definitely like to see him Guzma KO that Rockruff. I don't know why he would ever want to leave that in play.
He's taking Erica's Hospitality, but he's got a bunch of cards in his hand, so he can't play that.
I think he's benching the Lele so that when the Zapdos gets knocked out, he can put in a skateboard on the Lele. I think that's why Lele's making its way to the bench here.
Just
I definitely,
I
think he definitely should be going with the Guzma. Whoa, he's
Now
getting aggressive. It looks like he wants to play the Erica, but then he's leaving the Rockruff with the energy in play, which
I also don't know what he wants.
He's looking at. I think he's just trying to set up as much as possible. But then he has to burn a ton of cards. I'm not sure what's going on here. What Pablo's thinking is going through these plays here.
So he does a choice band to the Zapdos, and now he can play the Erica. Of course, you need to have 4 or fewer cards in your hand.
And if he is going to attach a choice band, I would definitely have liked to have seen it go to the Eevee, because there's a good chance your Zapdos just gets KO'd. And if you're drawing a prize, you might draw the Jolteon, right? So you could utilize the choice band on the Eevee, which would become a Jolteon.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just kind of puzzled by the sequencing of plays here from Pablo. It's not dealing with the main threats of the fighting Pokemon. You're getting rid of a Zorua, which shuts off their draw engine potentially, but if Danny sets up his fighting Pokemon, he doesn't even need Zorks.
Right.
So yeah, I'm a little puzzled by that set of plays there from Pablo.
Right.
We'll
Plus,
see.
right now, Danny's in a position, he lost one Zorua, but he can just evolve to this other Zoroark, and if he, say, evolves the Ditto into Mach, Pablo's start is so poor that he kind of just, can totally lock him out of the game really early here. Look, Danny's thinking about doing an Ultra Ball there. We saw Palpad and
Mallow, I think.
A Mallow, I believe.
So I think he's debating between using the Mallow or Ultra Balling it away. And I think from Dan, I think all you want to do is see cards. So I would just get rid of the Mallow here, because you could do Mallow trade and then get like basic Pokemon plus DCE to confirm the knockout. But then that's all the cards you have for that turn, and then you're not building on your other turns. There's a good chance you see the DCE. If you told me I was going to Lily for 6 and then trade once, maybe twice, I was like, I'm going to see a DCE there. So just go for the Lily. The Mallow, sure, it gets you the DCE plus a knockout for sure, but for your future turns from here, who knows if you're going to ever have enough cards to actually pull off big plays.
Sure. So he is Ultra Balling here. Looks like he was eyeing a Riolu.
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Does need the other basic Pokemon to get the knockout should he find the DCE.
Okay.
And then it makes it so even if Pablo has Guzma, KO, Riolu, you've got another one ready to go to respond to something like that Jolteon potentially.
Do you think? I mean, I just wonder why he. Oh, okay, he already had a Zoroark.
Yeah, he had the one.
Okay,
Zoroark.
yeah, you're right. I just forgot about that. So he's gonna Lily for 6 here now. We see double Zoroark that he draws. I think there's an Ultra Ball in his hand as well. He's going to trade one of the Zorks, and he does not find a double, I don't think.
Yeah, no DCE yet. He still has another trade if he wants to make that Ditto a Zoroark. And he doesn't even have to do... I feel like he's not even pressured to do that yet, so I wouldn't even be surprised if he chose not to.
He's Ultra Balling away that other Zork and...
Lele.
And
now
he's
just going to go to the Mach.
He's taking that Mach, like we talked about. And so now, he misses the attack, but now Pablo basically just needs to have everything to respond in his hand.
Yeah.
Can't use Jirachi. Can't use Coco Prism Star.
No Zeraora.
Yeah. So Pablo is now locked down, and the fact that his Jolteon is prized is punishing him harder and harder.
Yeah.
It
didn't get to some early aggression with the Jolteon. I think would have been great from Pablo to have going on turn 2. Not unfortunately able to do that. He was able to get the early KO on the Zorua. Not in a terrible spot yet, but there is 2 Riolu and a Rockruff on the bench for Danny. I think his hand is very big. I think he has Guzma plus Switch or Guzma plus Energy to retreat. Probably don't want to get rid of an Energy out of play. But Guzma plus Switch, get a KO on that Rockruff probably. Get that dealt with immediately. It's really Dan's only answer to that Coco GX. Ooh, he can maybe even attack with it this turn. That would be pretty good. Maybe get rid of that Muck.
Yeah, he does bench the Coco. He energy switches to that.
Oh, he does have the Thunder Mountain.
And he does have Thunder Mountain, so he just does this the hard way. Pushes up the Coco, manually attaches, energy switches, Thunder Mountain for the discount. And he'll be able to knock that out with... the name of the attack is escaping me.
It does 130 damage,
130,
I know that.
yeah. Sky High Claws.
Yeah, there it is.
So, yeah. He's still got quite a bit to look for here. Fortunately, Coco, none of the Tapus have weakness.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really sure what they are or what they're weak to. So
No, apparently no one does.
yeah,
Not even the creators of the card game.
yeah. I think that thing is the Coco. Like the black thing inside and the yellow part is just a shell.
That's just his shields.
Yeah. They're island guardians, so whatever. Right now, this Coco is guarding Pablo's chances of staying in this game here.
Guarding Pablo's Island.
Yeah, but it's it's important because it's not weak to fighting. Pablo couldn't dangerous rogue it. Wouldn't be weak to an Aura Strike or Aura Sphere. So
yeah, we even saw last turn. I think Pablo was thinking about benching a Jirachi. He was like looking at it, but he's like, well, then all of a sudden Lycanroc can KO me.
Yeah.
And one thing, I'm pretty sure this game as well, Dan got rid of the choice band early, so Dan actually has no out to one shot a Coco. He has to two shot it.
Yep.
They're actually impossible for him to one shot it. So it's gonna have to be a two shot on the Coco. Not a huge deal for Dan yet, but I think this one is starting to slip away from him again. The Coco is going to give Pablo a lot of time to come up with a play. You see a fighting to the active Zoroark and pass. So slow couple turns here from Dan as far as attacking goes, and definitely giving Pablo another opening in this game like we saw in the first game to see him maybe start to snowball and give himself a decent lead.
So this can be a turn here. This is, I think, a possible turn where Pablo can maybe bench a Pikarom and start charging it. He can use the Coco with Sky High Claws with some damage modifiers to still take knockouts on these GXs. And he's not in a position where losing a tag team loses in the game.
Yeah.
So this is, again, another window presents itself. Maybe Pablo's just a little shell-shocked from that corner shenanigan from last time. So Pablo discards an Electric Energy with Viridian Force, obviously just to search the deck.
Yeah. Thin out the card by one more Lightning.
Yep.
I think he has enough options in hand. It's just what he wants to go with. I don't think we're going to see him be playing a draw supporter or like a Volkner this turn. Guzma KO Rockruff would be great. I don't know if he has access to another one. If he does, though, I think that would be the play to look for.
He also has the Coco Prism Star in his hand.
Definitely be good to use this before Muck comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, Danny did put the Grimer down again. So interested to see. It's unfortunate to see that Eevee again. That's just wasting a bench spot.
There's the Guzma, but he's going after the Grimer here. Interesting. So he seems like he's giving up. I think chasing down the Riolu would definitely never be the right thing to ever look to chase down. But the Rockruff with the energy, I think, is always something to look at getting rid of. But he is going to go after the Grimer. We'll see how this plays out. It means he'll constantly get access to his ability, which is important for his deck. It gives him that many more options. Yeah, we'll just have to see where it goes from here.
So Pablo takes a knockout on the Grimer there with Thunderous Assault on the Zapdos, and then he puts the energy onto the Eevee, I think maybe hoping he could take the Jolteon off the prizes and go for that late game GX you talked about to gain immunity and take a knockout. Pablo plays a Communication, puts back in, I think it was a Lycanroc.
He got rid of a Lucario there.
Lucario, okay.
Yeah, definitely not looking to attack with Lucario yet. I think he was looking for a Zorua there. Goes for a Zoroark and then Nest Balls for the Zorua, I assume. Yep. And we finally see Dan did top deck a DCE at the beginning of this turn, so he's going to finally be able to attack.
Finally.
Apparently his deck does that, and we'll see that work out here in just a second.
Well, I mean, last game he attacked with some shenanigans, so he trades away one of the Lycanroc. He does run a 2-2 Lycanroc line. I don't believe he's played his Stretcher yet either.
No, he did Stretcher last turn. He got back the Muck, as well as it was like Muck, Zork, Zorua.
Okay. Oh, so he shuffled them in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he traded away the Muck again at the beginning of this turn.
Oh well. Okay. Go figure. So he attaches another fighting. He does run 3 fighting in a rainbow. So he does. That's all of his fighting.
That fighting attachment is a little scary for me. I think I would have definitely liked to have seen him do a DCE instead, because now, if he wants to use Lucario next turn, he actually just can't consistently. The Rainbow isn't there, but it's not in hand, and Viridian Force cannot find Rainbow Energy. So, and you saw 4 DCE left here as Dan. So I think I would have liked to have seen him use the DCE, and even though it's a overcommitment for the energy cost of Zoroark GX, like it only takes 2 colorless to attack with, you have a ton of DCs left. They're not as important anymore.
Right.
You don't want to, like, at some point, a Zorak is just not going to be very efficient to attack with once Pablo starts attacking with Pikarom. If he does start attacking with Pikarom, he might be able to close out this game with Coco and Jolteon potentially.
Yep.
But then if the Jolteon comes out, you're going to need a Lucario to deal with that. So
Yeah.
I would have liked to see the DC come down, hold on to the fighting, and save that for later.
Yeah, 2 energy. Manually attaching 2 energy to Zorak makes it seem way worse than it actually is. But
Yeah, the card is a little bit better than it looks
we
right now.
promise it's way better, yeah. So he Viridian Force away of Viridian Forest. Doesn't take anything, I don't think. He's eyeing Ultra Ball now. Maybe this is the turn that he takes a Pikarom and starts powering that up, or
He might just kind of forgo the Pikarom this game. I don't know what. I mean, after seeing this many fighting energy in play, though, as Pablo, and if you've been paying attention to the tournament, everyone's running that one of Rainbow Energy in their Zoroark or Zoroark Lucario decks. Give yourself the out to Acerola your own Pokemon, or get that extra 1 damage on the Lucario to do the that much extra damage with your GX attack. So I'm sure Pablo knows about the Rainbow Energy. So if he looks at the board, he's like, well, that's 3 fighting. So either Pablo thinks, well, he just has the Rainbow in hand, or he's going to have to find it next turn, and he can't for Viridian Force, so it might be hard for him to find it. So those are definitely calculations I'm sure Pablo is taking into account. I think he's actually going to get the KO. Oh, yep, double E-Power is going to be the GX attack from Pablo to close out this Zoroark.
he does also have the Coco Prism Star, so he can power up the Zero Aura to use Plasma Fists in the future. Plays a Lily for 5. Really what he's looking for here. Probably just stuff to set up for that attack next turn. Maybe some Energy Switch, some damage modifiers. There's a Choice Band.
There's a Pikarom as well, so we might see him pop the Coco Prism right now.
There's also a Guzma in his hand. And another energy, so if he can find the Jolteon off of his 2 prizes here, he can just evolve to Jolteon and Guzma, one of the basics on Danny's bench.
Yeah.
He uses Dance of the Ancients to grab a lightning, to grab 2 lightning, puts it on the Zero Aura and the Eevee.
Yeah. Setting himself up best just in case Dan does play Judge next turn, tries to judge him out of the game. All he'll need is Guzma plus the Jolteon. I think he got it there.
Yeah.
Those looked like some GX cards. Hopefully it's not his last prize here. I think we even see Dan going and trading away a DCE there. That's how unimportant they are at this point.
Danny seems to be doing things in a peculiar order this game. We see him Ultra Ball away, another double, and a Lucario for a Lucario.
Yeah, I think Dan knows this one's kind of just done. He might just be trying to wait out one more turn and just to see that little bit extra out of Pablo's deck, get a little bit more information.
Sure.
I mean, there's the Lycanroc on the Zeraora. DC active.
There's
gonna
the
be
third
Claw
DCE.
Slash, but we
Wow.
know it doesn't matter because we know Pablo has the game here with this one. With the Guzma KO, one of the
Guzma pulls
Riolos.
up one of the Riolu. Pablo manages to even things up there and go to game 3. You see another sigh of relief from him. But, so in those 2 games, Danny had really slow starts, and that's how Pablo was able to either stay in the game or win the game. But it seems like without any sort of slip up from Danny, Pablo is going to be struggling to find a way to, get in that game. It seemed like Danny had the game, and then all of a sudden he just kind of lost it there.
Yeah, no DCEs for a couple turns, no attacks for a couple turns from Dan was really what gave Pablo a ton of time to set up stuff. And he didn't even have to use the Pikachu Zekrom there. So I think definitely a little bit fortunate there for Pablo, to slow start from Dan. If it continues like this, I think Pablo definitely has a great shot. But after those first 2 games, I think I would like to see Dan be a little bit more aggressive about setting up the fighting Pokemon. He's constantly looking for this Grimer that I don't think does. If you're attacking as Dan, you're gonna force Pablo to have to attack with GX Pokemon, especially the big Pikarom. And if you just have fighting Pokemon as a response, you just win the prize trade.
Right.
So I would like to see Dan go a little bit more aggressively after the Rockruffs. Get those in play, get the energy on those. Don't worry about the Grimer. If you draw into it, sure, Muck's really good still. Set him up. And then find DCE. KO those Zapdos. Don't let them sit there for like 2 or 3 turns chilling. Take some knockouts.
Yeah, Danny runs all these different fighting Pokemon, and he's just opting not to do anything with them.
Yeah, like aggressively, He's going after the Grimer, setting up the extra Zeroos, which is okay, but I think being a little bit more aggressive about the fighting Pokemon is the best way to go, because ideally you're going to draw your DCs and Zapdos won't be able to stick and play for as long as it did that game, and you're going to force Pablo into his GX Pokemon, which you're supposed to respond to with your fighting GX Pokemon. But we'll see if Dan can't have a little bit more aggressive of a start in this third game, as he is going first in this one.
Yeah, and so now we're going to game 3 here. Pablo, of course, hoping for another slow start from Danny. Danny hoping to keep styling out on Pablo, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. So
It looks pretty good from what I could see there from Dan. He's got the nest ball for the Rockruff, I believe. He's got Viridian and then Lele for Lily. So he should be able to get a Rockruff here with the fighting down. Or the Ditto.
we see him take a Ditto, which technically is anything. Except for Riolu, because apparently Lucario specifically states it has to evolve from Riolu.
Yeah, not great at being a Riolu.
Because I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what else Lucario was going to evolve from.
Apparently Ditto.
But I guess the designers knew 8 months in advance.
Yeah, they knew they were going to make Ditto.
Lucario was too powerful with this Ditto. So we see him. He is thinking about discarding this counter gain with a Viridian Forest. Maybe he thinks he'll be up.
So I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think he knows at this point that that Pablo doesn't play weakness policy. That's really the only reason to keep the Field Blower. So definitely would have liked to have seen him keep the counter gain over that. And I also, because he has this combo of the Viridian Forest, I don't like the Ditto grab this early, because the Fighting Energy is going on to Ditto to act as a Rockruff, so why not just make it a Rockruff?
A Rockruff, yeah. And then the Ditto could become like a Muck later or something.
Okay, so he went for the Blower on his own Viridian there, which is okay.
Maybe he just wants to see the most cards.
Yeah.
There's a Rockruff in there.
So at this point, I feel like he does know there's no weakness policy. But I still would have liked to have seen him keep the counter gain for the potential swing turns from Pablo. You could have gone with. I guess he doesn't want to give Pablo the Viridian Forest access, which is reasonable, I guess.
So I think it's one of those things too. Is with the counter gain, Pablo has the ability to attach an energy and immediately take a knockout. So counter gain would have effect right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like Danny Pokemon Communications away something and takes. I think he put away the Rockruff to grab this Grimer again, and then he nest balls for a Riolu. So I guess this Ditto just is going to be a Lycanroc at some point.
Yep.
We see an energy attachment. Pablo is, of course, praying that. Wait, did he just? Oh wow! He
Quick Drew.
Didn't even search his deck at all. Oh, unless the Jolteon was in his hand.
Was
no.
it? Yes, it was. Oh my gosh! Literally the worst possible case there
geez.
from Pablo.
That was terrible. Wow, what an awful hand.
Goodness.
What a devastating way to lose that game is Pablo. Doesn't even get to play.
I know. Wow. So I guess the bad karma that Dan had early on with the slow, clunky draws went over to Pablo and was just a complete brick there in the game 3.
Yeah, takes it with a donk. Absolutely right. So, yeah, wow. Danny takes a pretty interesting series, I would say. Game 1, we were kind of just wondering what Danny was doing, but Danny had us all